Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, of course, this weekend we had some very exciting matches, some shock results as well. Results that possibly ended Arsenal's league title campaign. But here this evening, joining me to review these two matches, we have with us Leon.
Welcome, viewers and subscribers. Glad to be back.
Yes, Leon, and of course, over the weekend was Mother's Day as well. I must say shout out to the mothers and a special Mother's Day greeting to my mother, Auntie Danga, affectionately called. My love goes out. Leon, what say you? How did you spend the Mother's Day?
Well, I've went some places, got her some gifts, but it's not really. As long as we're here, she's good still because we have been separated for some time. So it was a good Mother's Day for me.
Yes, indeed. This must have been one of the special ones.
For real, everyone. Just glad everything is in good health. She's well, I'm well, family is good. So we had a great day out yesterday.
Yes, of course. And of course, over the weekend, we had some very good matches. The first one we're going to be looking at and reviewing is pretty much that game there, Man City, Everton. Of course, we know Everton really looking to fight off relegation. And of course, Man City making a real push for the title at this stage in the league. Leon, how did you see that game? Man City running away, comfortable 3-0 winners. It's a shock result for me personally. I anticipated a more tighter fight from Everton, especially playing at home, and Man City having played midweek in that Champions League draw with Real Madrid as well. This one came somewhat as a shock, not necessarily a surprising result, but just the manner of the victory. It was almost a walk in the park for City, not much pressure being exerted there by Everton. But Leon, I'll bring you in. What's your view on this game?
Yeah, as you said, I think the result was a bit of a, not surprising, but a bit of a shock because we know City has their sights set on the Champions League. So it was always, I think it was always, Pep was always going to rotate for this match. So it would be a perfect opportunity for, I guess, Man City to slip up because new players. But as you said, it was a pretty easy match for City. They looked like they were in cruise control. I guess it's the confidence of knowing that they're in a supreme form because Foden came in, he didn't look out of place. I think they arrested
Kevin
De
De Bruyne,
Bruyne,
right?
Bernardo Silva. I think even John Stones they arrested, and I get the people. Mares, I think Mares came back in.
Yeah, Maris came in.
I think they
Alvarez was there.
even Jack Grealish they arrested. And we know that Jack Grealish and Haaland is a two-man in form really for City, and the substitutes came in and they didn't really look out of place. I guess that's the meaning of two depth right there for Man City.
Yes, definitely. True Dep really, playing a part in this one. Of course, you said Man City has one eye on the Champions League return leg coming up. So the rotations came in and really they did not miss a beat. Gundogan popping up with two brilliant strikes, I must say. That first one was a sublime skill move, an
Season
improvised
contender.
finish. Possibly. I did see one today from Liverpool, from one Trent Arnold-Alexander, that wicked free kick from what about 24, 25 yards out. The Leicester keeper didn't stand a chance, but definitely that Gundogan strike as well, or in fact, both of them. One was a sublime free kick as well, the
Yeah.
third goal, I believe. And yeah, I mean, clinical finishing to say the least. And of course, Haaland getting on the scorecard again, being released from the shackles that Rudiger had placed on him for Real Madrid.
Naturally, I think Rudiger has some idea on what it takes to stop Alan because you can't really give him any space because he's fast behind and his link-up plays are getting much better. So I think Rudiger stuck into him literally was, and it was proven that he didn't really get a sniff.
Yeah, that seemed to be the way to really impose yourself as a defender. And Haaland is like, you just have to mark him like paint on a wall, don't give him an inch. And the Everton defenders failed to do that. I mean, even on his strike, I mean, he was hanging in the air, heading that ball in the back of the net while the defenders were planted firmly on the ground. It's as if they were just watching the sublime finishing of
They
Erling
were make,
Haaland, notching up his 36th strike of the EPL season as well.
showed him too much respect. I think even Pickford was questionable on that goal because I think his position was a little bit strange because I saw the ball on one side and him on the next. So I think it was a really strange positioning from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Pickford to me has always been questionable, even as England number one. I mean, I mean, England has options, but I guess Gareth Southgate have been sticking with him as the England number one. But to me, he always has an error in him here or there. I can't say I really place much blame on him, as you say, especially just his positioning may be questioned as well as the lateral movement. All his momentum seems to have been going in one direction, and that it not as if that header from Haaland was really
Picked up.
placed. It was pretty much just headed down in the middle of the goal, and Pickford got an arm onto it, but nothing much to keep it out really. Yeah, but Everton really now looking down the barrel of relegation for sure. Their next two fixtures is gonna come as must-win games in order for them to stave off relegation. We see Southampton over the weekend being relegated pretty much with 2 games left to play. Nothing much they can do. Their fate is already sealed. Leeds did pick up a point, which is a positive result, a step in the right direction. And of course, Nottingham Forest holding Chelsea to 2-2.
It's not surprising. It's not surprising. That's surprising. That's
the, the,
just Chelsea this season.
the teams in the basement are definitely fighting. This one for sure is gonna go right down to the last day, to the last kick of the ball. I was hoping the title race would do the same, but Brighton had other ideas. And that being said, Leon, let's segue a bit over there to the Emirates, where Arsenal were
Arsenal,
outplayed 3-0.
naturally. I
How,
think
how did you see that game?
I think I was listening to a podcast because I like to listen to football podcasts, and I think Rio Ferdinand said it best. He said that when he just got his move to Manchester United, I think he had a result where everyone was saying that they're basically they're throwing away the title race, and he said that he could feel it like the wind knocking, like he was very weak, and I think he said that it was like the senior players that rile the troops together too. And I think Arsenal doesn't have that person. I don't think they don't. I think they messed up the West Ham result. I think they just looked like when it comes to a really big match, they just look like they have no confidence in themselves anymore.
Yes, definitely. You could see the confidence draining out of the team as Brighton took that lead and then went on late to double, and then of course added a third for good measure. You know, as I mentioned in the preview, it was gonna be a very tactical battle. And so it was. What also surprised me was that Arsenal failed to trouble the score sheet. I was expecting goals. I did get goals. I got 3 from one team. Nothing from the Arsenal, at home at that. You
I think
know,
Arsenal came in close. I think it was Trossard
Trossard, right? He hit the upright, I believe, midway through the first half,
and Reece
after
Nelson got
coming
a
on for Martinelli, who picked up an early injury.
Reece Nelson got a sight in the last few minutes, I
Right.
think. But
Yeah, but there was no clear-cut opportunity. They failed to break down that Brighton defense, which conceded 6 in the previous fixture. And this Arsenal team, which has been firing on all cylinders all season, failed to trouble the scoreline. That to me was probably the most shocking of the result, to be honest with you.
it's just the pressure of the title race, Rafa. I mean, under pressure, you can't play your normal football anymore unless you're really prepared for it. And I think that's just Arsenal problem. I think tactically, I think we all know what Brighton is gonna do. Brighton is gonna absorb pressure because that's how they play. And Arsenal fell for it. I mean, Arsenal was pressing them, and you can see a lot of times Brighton hit the ball long, and it was a chase between Ben White and Mitoma, who Ben White I think got run around. I think he must be in an ice bath up to this up to today after.
Yes, definitely. Mitoma ran him ragged, in that game. I mean, he went past him with ease at times, to be honest. And we saw that is what led to that first goal where Estupinian overlapped. Mitoma fed it into Estupinian, who crossed. Arsenal failed to head it clear. And then again, it went back to Estupinian, who crossed for Incesco to pretty much nod it into the goal, unmarked inside the 6 yard box.
For that goal, Rafa, I think the first cross before it was headed back out. I think Kyria, I think his shoes came off in the box, and I think he stayed down, and that's where the free header came from. And it's just a weird decision for me because I don't understand why would you stay down and you're not injured and you know that Brighton is and you can see that was his man that got the goal. So it was just some strange stuff from Arsenal there.
Ever since that Saliba injury, that has obviously been the Achilles heel of this campaign. Saliba went out injured, and from then it has been a downward spiral, to be honest. Arsenal coped with the injury to Jesus. Nketiah came in, held his own. Other niggles here or there, Partey may have been out a game or two, but they were able to rally. But this injury to Saliba, the quality in depth, there has been a big drop off in that centre back
And
position.
I wouldn't put it to that, Rafa, really, to be honest,
Mm.
because before Saliba, I think Arsenal concedes the most goal at home. I think only Southampton and another team has conceded more goals than Arsenal, even when Saliba was playing. So I don't think
Mm.
I think it's an excuse that Arsenal fans are making because you know that
Ah,
Saliba is a decent player for them, but I think they were still conceding a lot of goals before Saliba, as I think from the World Cup restart, I
yes.
think they were conceding a lot of goals, and it shows that they concede only Southampton another team. So I just think that it's just the pressure of the title race. We always said the title race begins in like April, May, and they since
Yes, definitely. The pressure is real, and you can see it playing out in just about all aspects of the game. Communication, confidence, all the little things. All the little things tend to be added up. It's that half a second you hesitate to pass the ball, that half a second you take to clear the ball. All the little things, start creeping into the game, and as a result you start getting a bad run of results. It was that string of draws started
yeah,
off by Liverpool, Liverpool, West
West Ham,
Ham, Southampton. That
yeah.
string of draws right there, that was really the death of Arsenal as it relates to the title race. But of course, Kiri will still tell you that Arsenal is still mathematically in with a shot. The
I
fat
mean,
lady hasn't sung as yet.
if he's expected Chelsea to do something, I mean, the ball is drawn, but if you're looking at Chelsea to do something to that Man City team, I think even when Chelsea is playing their best, they would still have a trouble with this
Yes,
Man City team. And
all hopes right now. All Arsenal fans will definitely be cheering for Chelsea come Sunday. When Chelsea faces Man City. Of course, before that, Arsenal faces Nottingham Forest, and we all know that Nottingham Forest right now is fighting for dear life. So don't think that
life,
one will be a gimme or a walkover. Arsenal playing away from home at Nottingham Forest. And as I said, Nottingham Forest need that win. And we can see that their striker, Awawe,
I,
is in top form right now. He got a double against Chelsea. And I believe he scored a double in the previous fixture as well. So he is in red hot form.
yeah, I think the Nottingham Forest team for sure. I think they finally got it to click. I think other than along with the forward, Johnson's playing good, Gibbs White is playing good. They're just coming together, and I think it really paid off. When even when they're struggling, they stuck with that coach that brought them from the championship, and it's paying dividends. So I think for Arsenal to get a result from that side, they have to be up for it because Nottingham Forest will be up for it, and it's not going to be an easy game for Arsenal.
Definitely. I mean, getting back to that Brighton fixture though, Leon, I believe it was just an outstanding performance by that Brighton team. Brighton is really looking the part and looking to make a push into Europe this season as well. I am just hoping that this team doesn't get dismantled by transfers and that, the vultures come circling for the likes of McAllister,
I mean,
Mitoma,
there's, I mean,
Caicedo.
they're circling already. I think the coach said in the press conference that he's expecting to lose McAllister and Caicedo already. So the difference with Brighton and those teams that's normally in Brighton position, I think their players they're getting them sold for a lot of money. So I guess it won't be what would be worrying if even if they're making that money, they would still try to invest in like all youth players. I think that only works to a point because you can't get every signing correct. You
Right, that's right.
need to buy a quality player. And I think that's the next step for Brighton. They're making money. I think they should not really invest on like the 100 mil signing, but if they can make some smart 50 mil signings, 30 mil, and Eve alongside with their scouting, I think that could be the next step for them because they're playing fantastic football, right?
Yes, indeed. And I realize they have already been making a few signings, to be honest with you. I believe they signed the striker, João Felix, I believe. Or
Oh,
João
from Watford.
from
Yeah.
Watford. That's right.
João
Yes.
Pedro, João
Joe
Pedro.
Pedro, that's the name, Joe Pedro. Yes, so they have already started their recruitment, and we know that Brighton is one of those teams which do exceptionally well recruiting players, unknown players, and bringing them to the fore.
And see,
Estupinian
so
had a fantastic game, and he only capped it with that goal to make it 3-0.
first goal for
Brilliant
Brighton.
signing there at left back. Again, as I said, I am hoping that Brighton will keep hold of some of these players. As you
Yeah.
said, the big boys have already come circling, and they can, if they were to keep this team together, they can definitely make some noise in Europe, because for sure, I believe they will eventually get one of those European positions. Maybe not necessarily the Champions League, but maybe the Europa League or the Conference League. But it was an outstanding performance by Brighton, and that team, all season, that team, Brighton, playing some outstanding football. I just love watching them, possessing the ball, moving it from the back to the midfield, to the forwards, and, capping it with some sublime finishes at time. Even with the loss of Sully March, they really did not miss a beat. And, Incesco came in for Sully March, and he got the opener and had an outstanding game as well. When he scored that goal, he was pointing to his jersey, almost saying, remember the name.
Think of the whole Brighton plays. I think it's more of the system than the players really, because that's the thing with a good system. Each players know their position, so you just have to recruit the style of players for the system. And I think what De Zerbi is doing, I think it's instilling a lot of confidence in his players because how Brighton plays, you have to have confidence because some of the plays they make is really like dangerous. I mean, I think they build up with their back four plus two holding midfielder, and that forces the opposition to press them, else it would be a easy way to play out. And then they have Mitoma, which is a 1v1 specialist, plus their wing back overlapping. I think next season would be kind of a lot harder for Brighton because I don't think teams have figured out how to stop Brighton as yet, and you can see it. So I think next season would be the real test because most teams will already have eye candy to
Yes, I believe a lot of teams have underestimated the quality that Brighton possesses, especially in that midfield trio of McAllister, Caicedo, and sometimes Grass. That midfield tree has been doing a fantastic job all season. And I believe McAllister, especially, he did not lose a ball all game versus Arsenal. They could not take his ball.
technically secure, man.
Technically secure, It's a player like that a team like Liverpool would relish to have in their midfield.
I think Liverpool works better with the workman midfield and technical players, but it doesn't hurt to have a player that quality in your midfield.
Quality in depth. For to be a championship team, you need depth, and that may have been the failure of Arsenal. In fact, maybe in that January transfer window, that may have been where the team failed. So for sure, going forward, they should be looking to solidify and bring in some quality squad players, I would say, or even starters. But many persons are anticipating that Arsenal will have a good season next year. But we all know this is football. And
I think I think that's a common mistakes Arsenal fans are making that they'll be up there next year. I mean, look at Liverpool.
Right, right.
Up for the quadruple and look where they are now. I think football is you just take it season by season. I don't think
That
you
is it.
can be upcoming season on a previous season. I just think different teams will come about. Teams
You
that
are
weren't
so right.
performing will perform again. So it's just hopefully you meet your signings them
Definitely,
get
you have to take your opportunities when they come your way, and you could definitely say that some media houses are saying that Arsenal bottled it. I'm not sure if they bottled it or if they just run out of gas. To me, it's just a case where they run out of gas. The pressure was too much for them. We've been saying all season that Arsenal has been a one-trick pony, the same starting 11 over and over and over and over. And we just see where that has now caught up to them at the tail end of the season. That lack of rotation or that lack of quality depth, to me, that is what has hurt this team the most. You
I
know,
think it's more battle than quality of the team. Yeah, because if you look at the results, Rafa, look at the results. Other than the Liverpool results, I can give them. It's Liverpool, it's Anfield.
right,
But
right.
there's no way you should be leading 2-0 to West Ham. Remember, even Saka missed a penalty in that
Missed a
match.
penalty, that's right.
It's pressure. It's pressure.
Ah,
And
pressure bus pipe.
Even Southampton, but as you see, they're relegated. 3-0, 3-3 at Southampton,
Right.
going after a title, Rafa.
At
That's
home
un,
as well. At home as well.
yeah, I think it's more, they've never been in this situation, and I just think the pressure got to them because even after those results, I forgot which result in particular. I think Jesus came out in the post match press conference and saying it's a young team. That's already showing sign of defeat right there,
Mm.
right?
As a
So
man who has won the title as well, he should be the one stepping up and showing leadership as a EPL winning striker with Man City before.
actually, if it was like the Man City and the Liverpool title race of old, I would say then they just run out of gas, but they throw away some results naturally.
Definitely, yeah. It's hard to argue against those facts when you put it like that, Leon. It's very
Yeah,
difficult to come up with an excuse for Arsenal, especially in
well,
those games which they have been leading 2-0 up and ended up in a draw, At
ball
this
is a
point,
game.
I mean, it's almost as if it's somewhat of bittersweet because last week is as if the Arsenal got back a bit of hope when Arsenal defeated Newcastle. And then come this week, that hope is just snuffed out by Brighton.
Football is a game of opportunities, and Arsenal had a great opportunity to end their title drought, and they messed it up, and we don't know when that will be. When that
That is it. But even the fans, Leon, I was watching the match, and before the match
out,
ended,
out,
the fans were
out,
streaming out of the
out.
stadium as if they
They,
were doing an emergency drill.
and that's another thing. I think the fans are saying that no one expected them to challenge for top four, and even if they don't win, they are still proud of this team. But you can't be proud of this team and storming out after that Brighton result
That is
because
it.
you said you didn't expect them to win the league. So why are you start?
And of course, naturally, that kind of emotion and attitude is gonna reflect on the field. The players are gonna absorb that feeling of beaten, of defeat. It's gonna play on their emotions because when you're looking around, you're trying to fight to get back into the game, and when you're looking around, you're seeing empty seats. That's not gonna give you much cause for confidence or to that support that you would need to push you to come back into the game. Granted, at that point,
Over.
based on how the game was progressing,
It was
it was a futile attempt. But nevertheless, you have to stick with the team through thick and thin. Not just when the team is winning, but when the team is down as well. And the fans definitely, I would say, pull up stumps, early as well. Beating the traffic to get home.
actually. I think for the Arsenal fans, I think it's a good season in because we know what Arsenal is doing over the years. So I think it was a good season relative, but it's just the disappointment of the fan. Even if the fans are saying that they don't expect to win the show, it was a great opportunity. And enough of the fans them were dreaming, and it's just because in that Brighton match, I think after the second goal, I think they lost. Arsenal just gave up, and I just think it's the
Yes, yes.
frustration of the fans, and I think they
Even
just
the manager, I mean, the manager made some changes which you could see he was just trying something. It was a case of not sticking to the Arsenal tried and tested principle. He was just throwing some players on, hoping that a moment of individual brilliance could unlock that stubborn Brighton defense led by Dunk. Of
yeah.
course, I think Dunk is a very underrated defender. And many persons don't realize the quality of a defender that Dunk is. I mean, he should be a fantastic addition to the English team if given the call by the coach, because Dunk is a quality defender and is exceptionally good on the ball as well.
I think it's
And
just I think it's a system because no one was looking at Dunk before this the service system gave it the place. I think I didn't even I wasn't I think Dunk was more known for his aerial presence and his ruggedness in the box, and now he's silky on the ball, he's holding the ball, attracting pressure, and then passing it off. And because of the system, there's always options for him. Even the keeper is very cool under pressure. So I
well,
just
we
think that
see De Zerbi making a change in goal as well. It was Sanchez under Potter, and we see De Zerbi came in and gave Steele the nod. So you can definitely see that even though the playing style looks similar, there are distinct differences in terms of philosophy and tactical approach by the two coaches. So De Zerbi must get the requisite respect and accolades that he deserves.
I think De Zerbi is a European pedigree coach. As we have seen, I think a good coach is not only makes players better, but even the system hides the weakness. And right now, you're not seeing any weakness in this Brighton team. I
That
think
is right.
after the Everton match, he said in this Arsenal match coming, you'll see the real Brighton. And for managers to say that going to the second place team at home, and you can see his words weren't idle. So
No idle threats went out there and executed, took all 3 points. Heading
3 points.
back to Brighton with all 3 points. But
And I think it's Manchester United, and I think no, I think the Everton match game. But you won at Manchester United and you won at Arsenal. I think he has the third best away fixture other than the top two. So you can see that he's doing a wonderful job as a coach.
yes, I must concur. Fantastic coach, fantastic season. Definitely deserving of a nomination for manager of the season as well. But in terms of Man City though, Leon, getting back to Man City. So technically then, the title race is effectively over.
Naturally. I think it is. I think they'll make the effort to get it over with in the next match because, as you said, if they get through with this Real Madrid result, they will be having their eye on the Champions League. And I think the earlier they get this title out of the way, the better for them because they have the FA Cup finals coming up as well. So
Yes, I've been saying it all season that I believe Man City will definitely win the treble. And I am sticking to my guns where that call is concerned. From way out in the season, I've brought it here to say, hey, look, not many persons are talking about it, but look out for Man City winning the treble. And definitely right now they're on course. So I'm definitely sticking to those predictions. They're on course to win that treble, that FA Cup, the league, and of course that elusive Champions League as well.
yeah, I think it's possible. I hope not, as a Manchester United fan, but I think it will be hard for us. I know that we can beat Man City on a given day, but Man City team in this shape, it's problem. And I think the best team to stop them from winning this treble is that Real Madrid team because if you know the Real Madrid team doesn't need to play with possession. Man City can be in control and it's just one ball to Vinicius, as you saw the last match and it's goal. So I think Real Madrid has the best chance to stop them from winning the treble. I think.
Yes, indeed. That should be a massive game coming up midweek as well. But in terms of your final overview of this weekend's action, Leon, what says you?
As we saw, I think Southampton is already relegated. I think that that Leicester got from Liverpool pretty much seals the deal for them. So I'm not sure who. I think the last spot is still up for any team.
Perhaps
Yeah, I think
Leeds, Everton, Nottingham Forest.
I think it's not yet settled. I think for the top four, I think it's heating up. I think Manu, Newcastle on the same amount of points. I think Liverpool is 1 point behind Man United, but Man United have a game in hand, and I think Liverpool will win all of the
Oh,
remaining
that game
six.
in hand is against Chelsea.
Yeah, against Chelsea, and we know we- we're not sure about this. So it's a wild card that game, because Manchester United is going through a bit of hiccup. I think they can't wait for the season to be over. I think they're exhausted. A lot of the players getting injured. So I think the top four race should be interesting, and I think the last spot for the relegation should be interesting also.
Yes, I mean, apart from the title decider, I believe all other major positions are going down to that final day of football, who is going to be relegated, and of course, deciding who will make it into Europe and, the different European competition that's there. As you said, Liverpool is definitely pushing. Liverpool is on a 10 game or a 9 game unbeaten run. That's 9 wins on the trot, back to back to back. So Liverpool is in red hot form right now. Klopp have seemed to found that formula to
Finally,
unlock that Liverpool team. And we saw now Trent is almost being deployed as a additional midfielder, and we see where that is definitely proving very fruitful. We see the likes of a Curtis Jones, one of the youngsters here at Liverpool, really coming to the fore and shining brightly. Popping up with a double today, even though it's against relegation contenders, but nevertheless,
relegation.
it's a good
They're fighting for their
sign
lives.
sign of things to come.
Yeah, I think Liverpool. I think Klopp finally managed to figure it out after a long reason, and I think Trent even in the youth system played midfield before he was moved to right back. So
Mm,
I think it suited him perfectly, and I think that's the way to go for him. And I think Liverpool, just like Man City, can go on those long runs. I don't think
right.
it's surprising anybody. But even their season about 2, 3 years ago when they were short on centre backs, I think the last part of the season they went on a similar run. So it's just up to Manchester United to get those points to get over the 71 mark. And I think we got back Garnacho, which who scored the goal for us. And I think we should get across the line. So probably Newcastle. And I think Newcastle is playing good also. So it's an
Yes.
interesting. But
All to play for in these last 2 or 3 games of the season. It's really boiling down, and this is where you separate the men from the boys, and figure out the league positions going forward into next year. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us, Beating the Press podcast. I'd just like to thank you for your continued support. Please remember to share, like, and of course, if you haven't subscribed as yet, feel free to do so. Leon, I'd just like to thank you as well for coming on board and, of course, sharing with us your thoughts and your opinions. Some very profound thoughts and opinions there coming out from Leon.
it's always
But
a pleasure to be here. And viewers and subscribe, remember to like and share. That's all.
yes, indeed, we are looking to grow the platform, and of course, your support and help is definitely needed and welcomed. But until next time, viewers and subscribers, this is Rafa signing
Right.
off.